Right, this is... Well, Ricardo's the only person that's replied to yesterday's video. So I'm going to go through his comment and see what happens. And it's literally see what happens because I read it just before Friday, Hoovering Day. And I've been thinking of the bits of it that I could think of while hoovering away, vacuuming that is. And I must admit that some of my thoughts of how to make this video aren't very nice to Ricardo. So, well, having said that, I'll probably have to say something that's not nice, but let's go through the comment and see what happens. Ricardo writes, I calculate everything when calculating is required. I feel things only when you cannot calculate an economic value. So let's change that to I feel things only when I cannot calculate an economic value. A lot of people feel more things because they turn off or never develop the calculating economic value skill. So I can feel bad that someone has died. Some people feel really bad because they cannot buy the car they desire. I would never feel bad over that. The calculate economic value takes over in me. I think the answer to the last sentence is the answer to the question I would ask about the first sentence. The first sentence is, again, if you haven't remembered, I calculate everything when calculating is required. I calculate everything when calculating is required. So the question is, how do you know when to calculate? There's a better question than that, and the last sentence answers it. The calculate economic value takes over in me, as in, I calculate everything when calculating is required. How do you know when calculating is required? Because that is when calculating takes over. Because otherwise on its own the opening sentence, I calculate everything when calculating is required. And the question, how do you know when it's required, is the free will type question. How do you know when it's required? Do you calculate it? And if you calculate it, how did you know that that was the sort of question that needed calculating? You see, everything knocks back. No, you won't know. How do you know when to calculate and when to feel? You say in the last sentence, the calculate economic value takes over in me. Now that last sentence is good enough, and I'll let you go with absolutely everything and not say anything nasty at all. The calculate economic value takes over in me. You've got it, Ricardo. That last sentence is what not having free will is all about. The calculate economic value takes over in me. Now, what does it take over from? It takes over from something else that had taken over in you. There is no time at all that you ever are in control, for two reasons. Now, let's just go with the one. There is no you to be ever in control. The calculate economic value that takes over, it just takes over from something else. It takes over from the I must feel now, or I must emote now. That's using emotions. I don't know if that works. Let's just go with the feelings and calculations. you flip from feelings to calculations, calculations to feelings, feelings, calculation, These flux gates, you're a bit of a that way inclined. You probably know that's the wrong thing to say, but it sounds right for me to say. These flux gates flopping over, click, 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 click. What do you think controls them? To go from feeling to calculation, calculation to feeling, click, 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 click. What controls them? Yeah, I think that'll do as a video, because if I speak to Ricardo and Ricardo speaks back, I think that should cover all the basics. But in this comment, we have right at the start, I'm doing it this way around, it should be this way around. Right at the start and right at the end, the whole free will argument summed up. I calculate everything when calculating is required. Sounds very like free will. I choose to do calculating because I can see it's a calculating type problem. So I turn off the feelings and do calculating. See, we can say it's semantics, but semantics are words that are trying to say something. Now, I'm not saying that's what you're trying to say, because most people write things and they haven't a clue what they're trying to say. I'm the same. But we can say that the opening sentence, I calculate everything when calculating is required, is the sort of thing you say when you're trying to push free will. I've got free will. I calculate everything when calculating is required. The last sentence, the calculate economic value takes over in me, is bingo. It's right on the button. You've gone click. The gates have gone click over. So I'm doing this video for Ricardo to ask you, what do you think made the gates go click over from whatever it was to go over to calculate economic value? Good. Everything I think is going quite well on the website. Richard's been helping do some stuff, but can't help very much because it's WordPress based, and he doesn't touch it because it's so horrible. But he's taught me how to touch it, and on some of your web browsers you'll find that the text in the posts are actually dark. Well, they're black instead of being light grey, which is sometimes hard to see. And a couple of other things have changed. But it depends on what browser you use. But I think overall things are looking quite good. I like the way it's an all the way to the side thing. The comments can go all the way to the side. So if we ever get long comment, which we have in the past, if we get long comment going on, the thread, we can just see it. I think it's all right. But if you think there's any little clear up things I could maybe have a stab at, with or without Richard, comments, and we'll try and get it done. But special thanks for Ricardo for playing along.